now I'm going to turn to more common sense arguments against water fluoridation, starting with the using the public water supply to deliver any medicine. And we've never done it with any other medicine since fluoridation began. Using the public water supply to deliver any medicine is a reckless thing to do. Let me explain. In addition to depriving millions of people of their right to informed consent to medicine, it's very, very, very reckless, because when you add a substance to the water supply, you expose the whole population to a toxic substance. This takes no account of the fact that some people will be far more sensitive to fluoride's toxicity than others. And it's reckless to add a known toxic substance to the public water, drinking water, with no control over dose. But people can drink huge amounts of water. And you ask any pharmacist, you've got to be able to control the dose of any medicine. Every tube of medicine, those tablets, you're told how many tablets to take a day, what the milligrams are, etc., etc., etc. And to make matters even worse, the fluoride used is not pharmaceutical-grade fluoride as in toothpaste, but a hazardous waste product from the phosphate fertilizer industry. Now, the level used in New Zealand is 0.85 parts per million on average. 0.85 parts per million might seem a low concentration, but in reality, it is 170 to 850 times the level in mother's milk in New Zealand. In New Zealand, and it's reckless to expose bottle-fed babies to hundreds of times more fluoride than nature intended. So what we're doing is we are ignoring, with water fluoride, we're ignoring nature's guideline for newborn babies, if you like. The range of fluoride levels in mother's milk in New Zealand is from 0.001 to 0.005 parts per million, and that gives rise to what I've just said. With the average fluoride level in New Zealand at 0.85 parts per million, a bottle-fed baby where the mother uses formula and makes it up with a solid formula, makes it up with fluoridated tap water, she's going to be giving her baby 170 to 850 times the level in New Zealand's mother's milk. And this is what, going back to Arvid Carlson, remember him? One wonders what an increase in the exposure to fluoride, such as occurs in bottle-fed infants, may mean for the development of the brain and the other organs. Now, that was a statement he made in 1978. It helped to stop fluoridation in Sweden, and he was way ahead of his time in pointing out this potential impact on the brain. So it brings me to part 5, the evidence that children in fluoridated communities are being overexposed to fluoride. And this is, we can say that because when they started fluoridation in 1945 in the United States, they thought that a certain number of children would get dental fluorosis, which is a mottling of the enamel, discoloration of the enamel, which was well known. It was well known in 1930s that fluoride caused this condition, and that's when they called it dental fluorosis. But in 1945, they thought they could limit the number of children that would get this mottling, discoloration of the teeth to about 10, maybe 15% of the population, and only in its very mild form. But if you look at this graph here, this is from the Center of Disease Control in 2010, you see that in total 41% of children aged 12 to 15 had this condition, and not only in the very mild, but in this case 8.6% in the mild category, where 50% of the enamel is impacted. Now in New Zealand, you've got these figures. 44.5% of 8 to 30-year-olds had some dental fluorosis, with the majority of the fluorosis being questionable or very mild. They then give the numbers for moderate dental fluorosis and severe dental fluorosis, but notice they leave out mild dental fluorosis, which can impact up to 50% of the tooth surface, and that is what many teenagers find very objectionable from a psychological point of view when they're trying to get dates and so on. But to me, the issue is not so